Good day to everyone. Okay, now let's start. In this session, we are going to discuss about strategic analysis. So before we start, let me tell you people that this is basically our first session for SPM, that is Strategic Business Management. So here we have our first session for ICAW Advanced Level Strategic Business Management, and this is basically our first session. So in first session, we will cover our first topic. We have our first chapter, that is chapter number 1. And in this chapter, we are going to discuss about strategic analysis. What do we mean by strategic analysis? How we can perform strategic analysis? What are the different types of analysis that we can perform that can be helpful for our understanding, that can be helpful in our business and in our different environments. So these are the contents of strategic analysis basically. First of all, we will discuss the term strategic management. What is strategic management? So before defining the strategic management, we will be going through some of the basics like what is strategy? So our major focus on today's session will be on strategy. What is strategy? What are the different types of strategy? How strategy can be formulated, long-term, short-term, medium-term, or what are the different important contents that are related with our strategy. Then we will discuss about organization, goal, and objective. What are the goals and objective? How we can achieve our goals and objective? How we can set different goals and objectives for our organization in different time periods. Then we will analyze our external business environment. As we know that an organization faces two types of environment. First of all, it is the external business environment. Second, it is internal business environment. We will discuss both type of environments, external business environment, internal business environment, and apart from environments, we will also discuss different factors. For example, what are the internal factors that can play an important role for an organization? What is strategic capability? What is the capability of an organization? What you can achieve and what you cannot achieve. Then we will analyze our strategic position. What is our position right now? What is our current position? What is our current performance and how we can achieve our desired level. For example, this might be your current position, but let's say this is your target. So you see there is a gap. So how you can achieve this gap, just to make sure that you achieve your target level, that you achieve your objectives of your organization. So we will analyze and we will also discuss different techniques and different steps, how we can analyze and what we have to do for. Then we will discuss levels of strategy in an organization. What are the different levels of strategies in an organization and how different strategies can be helpful in different time periods. Then finally, we will also discuss some of the latest concepts, modern technique, and these are called as current technology developments basically. So what are the current technology developments and how these current technology developments can be helpful for us just to make sure that we meet current days our requirements. So these are the contents, and now let's start our topic one. One more thing, it is not necessarily that we will cover our topics in this sequence, but at the end you can see, you can realize that we have covered all of these contents. First of all, we will start with our basic term, that what is strategy. Strategy is basically the direction and scope. These are two words that are normally used while you are going to define your strategy. Direction means in which way you want to move forward? What is your way forward? That is called as direction. Scope. Scope means what you want to do. Scope means what you want to do, what you want to achieve basically. That is called as scope. So strategy is basically the direction and scope of an organization over the long-term period. Yes. In different types of strategy, we will discuss strategy could be for 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year. But normally when you will define the strategy, so it means you are talking about long term. Long term means it could be 10 years, it could be 15 years, it could be 20 years, it could be 25 years, or even it could be your 50 years as well. So strategy is a long-term direction, long-term horizon. What do you think where you want to be in next 20 years? What do you think where your organization should stand after 10 years, 20 years? That is called as strategy. So while we are talking about strategy, what is the benefit of strategy? These are the benefits. If you are well prepared with your direction, with your scope, with your long-term approach, then it means you can achieve advantage. Advantage in what? Advantage in your changing environment. Why our environment is changing? As we know that our organization operates in an environment, and our environment is a changing environment. Our environment is a dynamic. If our environment is a changing environment, it's a dynamic environment. So what we have to do? We have to prepare. We have to prepare ourselves just to make sure that we can cope up with our changes. Prepare ourselves to cope up with changes of environment. Because if we will not be prepared, then definitely there could be a lot of issues, lot of uncertainties, and we may incur huge losses and significant difficulties basically. To some extent, you must plan it. Through its configuration of resources and competencies. Yes, definitely. If you are thinking you have to prepare for changing environment, how you can prepare? So here it is your answer. So you have to configure, you have to use, you have to utilize your resources and competencies basically, with the aim of fulfilling stakeholders' expectation. Later on, we will also discuss what do we mean by stakeholder, what are the different types of stakeholder, and what will be their expectation. Because we have different stakeholders, so definitely every stakeholder, each class of stakeholders will be having its different expectation. So we will discuss later on what do we mean by stakeholders expectation, what are the different classes of stakeholders, shareholder, and what they expect from each organization. So this was basically the concept of strategy. Let me revise it again. Strategy is basically the direction and scope of an organization over the long-term period. 10 years, 15 years, 20, 25, 50 years. What is the benefit of strategy? You achieve advantage in a changing environment, because our environment is a dynamic environment. So it's a changing environment. There are a lot of changes. So just to make sure that we do not incur significant losses, we have to prepare ourselves. Prepare ourselves to cope up, to meet out with relevant changes. And how we can prepare? Through configuration of resources and competencies basically, with the aim of fulfilling stakeholders' expectation. Definitely, if we are not going to well prepared, we may incur significant losses. Our stakeholders, our shareholders might not be happy. We might not meet out their expectation. So it is necessary that we have to meet out their expectations basically. So in next lecture, we will discuss what do we mean by stakeholder, different classes of stakeholder, what are their different expectations, and how we can meet out their different expectations as well. Now let's discuss about strategy. Strategy might be of different type, but finally we will discuss strategy is of three different types: long-term strategy, medium-term strategy, and short-term strategy. Short-term strategy, normally it is assumed for an year, up to 1 year or less. Medium-term strategy, again, it will depend. It could be from 1 to 3 years or 1 to 5 years as well. And long-term strategy, again, it might be for 5 years, 10 years, 15, 20, 25 years, or even in 50 years as well. So short-term strategy for a short period of time, approximately for 1 year or less than 1 year. Medium-term strategy, 1 to 5 years, and long-term strategy, that is for 5 years, 10, 15, even for 25 or 50 years as well. So these are three different types of strategies: short-term, medium-term, and long-term strategy as well. So in your real exam, you have to review your scenario, and then you have to advise your particular organization which strategy is useful for you: short-term, medium-term, or long-term. It could be a single strategy, or it could be a combination of different strategies as well. Again, we can classify strategies into different categories. Here we have three different categories. First of all, we have competitive strategies. What do we mean by competitive strategies? As its name shows, competitive. Competitive means how an organization is going to compete. Compete means competition. So how you are going to compete with your competitors. So you will define them in your competitive strategies, basically. This is called as competitive strategy. Product market strategies. Again, these strategies determine your direction of growth, how you are going to use your different products in different markets, basically. So where you have to compete with your competitors. Where mean place, like in which market you have to compete. Either your market could be a local market, it could be an international market, or it could be a specific market as well. So where you have to compete with your competitors, and what will be your direction of growth. When we will discuss our growth topic, then we will discuss growth could be of different types. So we will discuss different types of growth in our growth topic, basically. Next, we have institutional strategies, basically. What are institutional strategies? Institutional strategies, basically, these strategies define our method of growth and how an organization gains access to its chosen products and markets, basically. So these are called as institutional strategies, basically. Institutional strategies, let me repeat it again. These are basically about your method of growth. Because when you are talking about growth, growth means you have to grow your business. How you can grow your business? There are multiple methods. It could be acquisition, it could be merger, it could be franchising, it could be subsidiary, it could be associate, or there are many other methods. For example, it could be a case of joint venture and many other methods as well. So what we are going to do in our next chapters, we are going to discuss each and every method in detail. What do we mean by acquisition, merger, franchising, subsidiary, associate, joint venture? And then we will also discuss what are the advantages or disadvantages of particular growth method here as well. And this is also a very good and very famous question of examiner. If you have to move your product, your services from one place to another place, So what could be the suitable strategy? What could be the suitable method of growth? So these are different methods, different approaches for growth, and we will discuss each approach, each method in detail in our next chapter, basically. So on this slide, on this page, we discussed about different strategies, competitive strategy, product market strategy, and lastly, it was institutional strategy, basically. Now, let's discuss about what are the different properties or what are the different characteristics of our strategic decisions, basically. As we are talking about strategy, and normally it is assumed that strategy is basically the long-term direction of an organization. If it is long-term, so if it is long-term, then there will be some uncertainties. Because if you are talking about 10 years, if you are talking about 15 years or 25 years, then it means you are talking about future. You are discussing what could happen in your future as well. And future is always uncertain. So it is a property, it is a characteristic of strategic decision that it involves your uncertainty. If it involves uncertainty, then it means things are not going to be easy. Your life will not be easy. It will involve a complex situation. So what will you have to do? It will involve a complex situation. A lot of hard work will be required. Huge and extensive analysis would be required just to make sure that you are good with your strategy and your strategy is appropriate according to changing environment, basically. So this was the second point. And again, complexity also relates with your uncertainty because you are involving, you are considering significant amount of time here as well. Obviously, your strategy will be having an impact on your other levels of organization. As we know that we have three different levels of an organization. It is at strategic level. First of all, we have strategic level. If I draw this diagram, first of all, we have this strategic level. Then second level, it is called as tactic level. And finally, we have our operational level as well. So every strategy that is being made at strategic level, definitely it will have an impact on your tactic level and also on your operational level as well. Particularly, it will have a significant impact on your operational level. Because when we discuss the operational level, then operations are basically being performed at your operational level. For example, production, manufacturing, selling, distribution, warehouse, and so on. So what we have to do, we have different levels, strategic level, tactic level, and operational level. And your strategy has considerable impact on your other levels. These are tactic and operational level. So it will be much better. It will be a good approach if you use an integrated approach. What is integrated approach? Integrated approach means you are also involving your tactical level and also your operational level to some extent, just to make sure that you are also considering their concerns as well. That's why it is called as integrated approach. You are also integrating, you are also considering your other departments, other levels. In fact, you are talking about for your whole organization. This is called as integrated approach. So it will be a very good idea if you will also take some inputs from your other levels, other departments as well. Obviously, it will also, or it can also involve some structural changes in an organization. If your environment is changing, if your strategies are changing, then definitely what you have to do, you have to go for different structural changes in your organization as well, because it will be necessary. Some people think if it involves the uncertainty, if it involves the complexity, if it is uncertain, then why you need to plan? Because you need to plan, you need to make sure that you are in right direction. If let's say if there are some uncertain events that can impact, that can harm your organization, but if you are already prepared, then you can also reduce their impact as well. Sometimes there are some uncertainties which you cannot predict it out, then definitely when you are well prepared, so you can easily counter those challenges. For example, COVID-19, a nightmare for whole world. This is a perfect example of uncertainty and complexity. What happened due to COVID, we will just briefly discuss because everyone knows and it is not much related with your exam, but definitely it is much related with your concept. In COVID-19, our entire world, businesses were affected. Not only the businesses, in fact, entire world was affected badly. Either you will talk about your educational sector, your services sector, your medical sector, or any other sector, then that sector was particularly affected with your COVID-19. But what happened after COVID-19? Then there was some medical department. You can say medicines, pharmacy, then there were some medicines, precautions, our doctors, and then we prepared our different vaccines basically. So what we have to do, we have to prepare ourselves. We have to make sure that we have some amount of budget here as well. We have proper departments, we have team, we have a relevant person who can counter with those challenges here as well. So this was a good example and small example of uncertainty basically. So in the same way, we can have a lot of uncertainties. So now we will be very much prepared. If there are some diseases, if there will be some issues, then we can handle them basically. Now let's discuss what are the different elements of strategy basically. In elements of strategy, we have three elements. First of all, it is about analysis. Yes, analysis means you have to analyze. What you have to analyze? You have to analyze your current strategic position. What is your current position? First of all, you have to analyze basically. Because when you will realize, when you will analyze your current position, then you can take decision what you have to do, where you want to be. So first of all, you have to analyze your current position, including your objective setting and influences on an organization strategy. Objective setting means how you are going to set your objectives. Because we have different types of organization and different organizations will be having different objectives. For example, it could be your profit-making organization. It could be your non-profit organization. Or like you can say that could be NGOs. We have NGOs, we have charities, and we have a lot of other organizations here as well. So different organizations will be having their different objective. And we also have to consider what are the influences, which factors can affect your organization strategy. Like what are the factors, what are the important areas that can affect your organization strategy. It could be your external environment, it could be your internal environment, your capabilities, and even expectations of stakeholders as well. First of all, analysis. Now, second portion is basically about choice. In choices mean you have to formulate and evaluate agreed strategies basically. This is called as choices. So you have to formulate and you have to evaluate your agreed strategies basically. And we will discuss in coming chapters how we can formulate different strategies, how we can evaluate different strategies as well. because it's just a basic chapter, first chapter. In coming chapters, we will discuss each and every component in our detail. We have second chapter for strategic choices. We have third chapter for strategic implementation. Third point is basically about implementation, monitoring, and control. Yes, this is something very, very important. Once you have decided, once you have analyzed, you have choices, now it's time to go for practical implementation. It's a last phase, it's a last stage basically. So you have to implement your strategy practically. After implementation, what you have to do? You have to continuously monitor your strategy. You have to continuously monitor your environment. Why we have to continuously monitor our environment? Because our environment is a dynamic environment. If we will not review, if we will not monitor our environment, then it is quite possible your environment will change while your strategy will be old dated, and you might fail your business very badly. So you have to be very, very careful when your environment is changing. So you also have to adopt, you also have to consider changes. So definitely you will need to revise your strategy and then you will move forward. So implementation, monitoring, and control stage here as well. Definitely when you will be monitoring, it means you are controlling different inputs, different points here as well. Now let's talk about the organization goals and objectives basically. So what are the goals and objectives? Obviously, these goals and objectives are derived from an organization's mission. What is mission? Mission means what you want to do. What is your basic purpose? What you want to do, what you are trying to achieve. It is clearly mentioned in mission statement of every organization. So we have mission statement. When you will be reading out a report, when you will be talking about any organization, then you can easily find it out what are their mission statements basically. So it will be mentioned, obviously your goals and objectives will be derived from your organization mission statement. As we were talking on previous slides that we have different types of organization. We have profit making organization, we have non-for-profit organization, we have NGOs here as well basically. So when you will be talking about goals, when you will be talking about objective, you have to consider in which organization you are. Either you are profit making organization or you are non-profit making organization. So according to organization, you will consider different stakeholders' interests. You will also consider what are the different conflicts and how you can consider, how you can protect different interests and how you can resolve different conflict in different organization here as well. Above all, we have one concept that is called as goal congruence. What is goal congruence? Goal congruence means all of your organization employees should be at one place. Your goals, your objective must be same. If different departments, different employees have different objective, then it means your organization is going to fail. Their products or services are going to be failed. Your customers will not be happy. Why? Because different people, different employees, different departments have different goals, different direction. So there must be a concept of goal congruence basically. So all of your employees, your whole organization, all of your stakeholders, you have to make sure that they are at one place. Sometimes it's not possible that all of your stakeholders are at one place. So you have to make sure that majority of your stakeholders are at one place. We have different types of stakeholder who have more power, who have more interest. So we will discuss what are the different classes of stakeholder, to which stakeholders we have to keep them informed, to which stakeholders we have to make them happy, with stakeholders, we have to make them informed. So we will discuss in next point of view. While we are talking about objective, our objectives should be smart. What do we mean by smart? Smart means specific. Yes, specific objective. What you want to achieve basically. Let's say you want to achieve, you want to gain more market share. Let's say your current market share is 2%, but no, in next 5 years, you want to make it 20%. That is something specific because you are talking about market share. If you say you want to grow your organization, that's fine. That is also your objective. But how much you want to grow? Either you want to increase your market share, you want to increase your profit, you want to increase your dividend, you want to increase your sale. If your sales are increasing, if your profit are increasing, if your earning per share is increasing, then it means your organization is performing well. But these are some general objectives. So when specifically talking about, you will talk about either you want to increase your market share, you want to increase your sale, you want to increase your profitability, you want to improve your liquidity position. So your objective should be specific. Secondly, it should be measurable. Why? If it is measurable, then it means it is quantified. You can see what objective you have set and what you have achieved and what you want to achieve basically. If it is not measurable, then definitely it will be difficult for you. Either you have achieved your objective or you have not achieved your objective completely. Achievable, yes, this is something very, very important. You must set out your objective which you think which your organization, which your employees can achieve basically. So you must set out your objective, those are achievable basically. You should not set out your objective, those are ideal. If you are going to set out ideal objective, then it could be difficult for you. Why? Because it is very, very hard to achieve ideal objective. If ideal objective, the objective which are very hard to achieve, if you have set out those objectives, then your employees will be demotivated at start. So they will not be putting too much efforts to achieve those objectives. So it will be in vain. So you have to be careful. You achieve, you set out those objectives which can be achieved. So you should not set out those objectives which are very easy. You should not set out those objectives which are very, very ideal. So you should be moderate and you should set out those objectives which are a little bit challenging. So you need some efforts, your employees, and then you will move forward. Next point, that is relevant basically. Yes, this is again very, very important. Your objectives should be specific. It should be relevant to your area here as well. If it is not relevant, then again, it might not be useful. Time related, yes. You must define the time. You must define the time here as well. If I just consider this example of market share, let's say in next 5 years, I want to increase my market share from 2% to 20%. So it means I have defined the time, that is 5 years in this example. So it will make me realize where I stand currently, where I want to be in next 5 years. So after some time period, after some time, I can realize, I can measure what is my objective, what I am doing right now, how close or how far I am with my objective basically. So time is very, very important factor. If you just say, I want to increase my market share from 2% to 20%, but if you have not defined your time, then you might be a bit lazy. You might achieve this target in next 8 years, 10 years, or 15 years. So it is something very, very important that you must define your time, because it is important to achieve your objective within due time period basically. So let's conclude. Your objectives should be smart, specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time related, or you can say time oriented basically. Moving forward, in organization, we have different objective. We have primary objective, we have secondary objectives basically. For example, primary objective is basically growth in profit. Primary mean that is your basic first foremost objective is basically you want to increase your profits basically. Now, how you can achieve this objective, how you can grow your profits basically. There are multiple ways to achieve this objective, and those are called as your secondary objectives basically. For example, your sales might grow, you might go with your technological innovation, you can go with your good customer service, you can increase, you can enhance product quality, efficient resource management, reducing companies' reliance on debt. Definitely, apart from these methods, there are other measures as well. There are other steps that can be applied to achieve growth in profits basically. So main objective is you want to increase your profit now. Secondly, you have to decide how you can achieve this. You can increase your sale, you can reduce your cost, you can reduce your debt. So what you want to do, you have to decide, and this is called as your secondary objective, and primary objective is basically growth in profits basically. Again, in organization, as we were talking about for strategy, it could be short-term strategy, long-term or medium-term. In the same way, our objectives could be long-term, or this could be short-term objective basically. Long-term objective, again, 5 year, 10 year. Short-term objective, normally short-term mean within 1 year basically. So sometime you have to decide either you will go for short-term objective or you will go for long-term objective basically, or you might apply with both of the objective. You might consider what is your short-term and what is your long-term as well basically. Sometimes there is a trade-off between long-term and short-term objective basically. Sometimes you have to consider either you will go for long-term or you will go with your short-term objective basically. Sometime what you have to do, sometime you have to sacrifice your long-term objective basically. Yes, to achieve your short-term objective, sometime you have to sacrifice, you have to forget your long-term objective. What could be long-term objective? I have just mentioned some of the example as a part of some idea. For example, postponing capital expenditure. Yes, when you will go for capital expenditure, obviously your capacity, your efficiency, your effectiveness might be enhanced. When it will be enhanced, then definitely your productivity will improve, your sales might improve, ultimately your profitability might be enhanced in this way. But you need to make sure that you incur significant capital expenditure. So you might postpone your capital expenditure. You might postpone some of your growth project for 1-2 years or some years here as well. Cutting R&D expenditure. R&D means research and development basically. Yes. If you think your organization has department, if you are in pharmaceutical department, if you are in pharmaceutical company, or if you are an IT based company, definitely you need to perform a significant expenditure on your research and development. But if you are cutting it out, if you are not performing the research, then it means you are also sacrificing your long-term objective. You can reduce your quality control. It means you are not completely checking it out, your quality. You can reduce your level of customer services. You can cut off, you can reduce your training costs or recruitment costs basically. You can change your processes. So all of these are some of the examples, some of the points for sacrifice of your long-term objectives basically. Definitely there will be some implication, but right now for this topic, our point is how we can sacrifice our long-term objectives. Again, in objective, we have financial objective, we have non-financial objectives here as well. While we are talking about financial objective could be profitability, cash flow. Yes, we want to increase our profitability. We want to improve our cash flow management, cash flow from operation, from investing areas, from financing areas, basically. We want to increase our market share. We want to grow our organization. Again, growth could be in sales, in profit, or in any other area. We want to enhance our asset base. Yes, we want to enhance. We want to increase our assets basically. It could be through acquisition, it could be through merger, or it could be any other way that is suitable. Apart from financial, we have a long list of non-financial objective, but I have just put out some of the non-financial objectives just to make sure that we are completely aware with this concept. Non-financial objectives, for example, customer satisfaction. If you will be talking about profitability, then you can say, let's say your profit is increased by 20%. This is something that is measurable. But customer satisfaction, this is something that is very subjective. For example, if you have a rating system and let's say it starts from 0 to 10. If some customer has ranked you at 7, other customer has ranked you at 8, other customer has ranked you at 6. So what does that mean? You cannot quantify, you cannot define some sort of percentage or some sort of figure. It will be difficult for you because this is something that is subjective in nature. Anything that is subjective, so it involves judgment, it involves the complexity. Again, same thing for products quality. Yes, someone has given you the ranking, it will be difficult for you. Human resources, yes, HR management, how your employees are performing, what are their efficiencies, what are their effectiveness basically. And lastly, we have new product development and social responsibility, or it is also called as social other areas basically. So what you are talking about? You are talking about new product development. You are talking about social responsibility. You are considering corporate responsibility, or you can say CSR. What is CSR? Corporate social responsibility here as well. So we have financial objectives, we have non-financial objectives here as well, basically. Till here, we have discussed our first topic that was basically about what is strategy, different component of strategy, objective, different objective. Our next topic is basically about business model. There are a lot of business models. For example, we can apply. We have our PESTEL. We have our SWOT model. We will discuss our Porter's 5 forces. We will discuss our BCG matrix. We will discuss Ansoff model. We will also discuss other model, for example, value chain. We will discuss product life cycle. We will discuss shell directional strategy, shell directional matrix. And any other useful model that can be helpful for our understanding basically. So we have different models and we will discuss each and every model in our discussion. So we have PESTEL, we have SWOT, we have Porter 5 forces, BCG, Ansoff, value chain, product life cycle, shell directional matrix, and many other models here as well. So before I start for business model, I will take 2 to 3 minutes of pause, if 2 to 3 minutes of break. So if there is any questions, you can let me know. I will answer your question. Otherwise, I will move forward. Thank you. As I mentioned that we have different models. So what we are going to do? So we are going to start our first model, that is basically the PESTEL. That stands for political, economic or economical, social, technological, environmental, and legal basically. So PESTEL stands for this synonym basically, acronym. PESTEL is basically a model that is used for external analysis. For your external analysis. Because all of the factors of PESTEL, these relate with your external environment. If those factors relate with your external environment, then it relates with your external analysis. First of all, we have political. What do we mean by political? So in every heading, I have listed down some of the points basically. Apart from these points, there could be many other points. But what is the purpose of mentioning some of the points? The entire purpose is to make sure that you people are aware what do we mean by different point and how we can handle and how we can relate different points basically. Government stability. Yes. Again, if you think if the government of a particular country or particular economy is stable, then it is a very good situation. Why? That investors will be attracted, there will be more customer, more consumer, more investment, and it will be a good thing for you. So people will be interested to invest in your country because they think the government is stable for next 5 years, 10 years, that's a good thing. If your government is not stable, then the problem is that if your government is not stable, then your policies are going to change. If your policies are going to change, then this is something that will not be useful for you. So because your policies are going to change, if your policies are going to change, then definitely it will impact. It will impact on your investment. It will impact on your decisions basically. Either it's an investment decision or it's any other decision basically. So that is a basic problem with change in government structure, because every government sees different situation, every government sees situations in a different way, in a different manner. So there will be different responses. So government stability is something that is very, very important for your political environment. Next point is basically your taxation policy. Again, if your government is stable, if you have same government, then it will be useful for you, because in same government there will be something that is useful for you. So they will define what could be their policies. So after their first year or second year of government, you can analyze, you can predict what you think, what will be the taxation rate, what will be tax relief, what will be tax rules. So it is again related with your government point of view. Foreign trade regulation. Yes. Again, how you are going to trade with your other countries basically. So each government, each state on rules, on regulation, either your local trading, your foreign trading. So it will define how much import charges, duties, your rules, restriction you are going to impose basically. Because sometimes it's quite possible if there are trade war between two different countries, then situation might be different. As we can see in our real world, there are many countries who are in conflict with other countries as well. So if there are some conflict, then there could be some problems for you. Again, trade restriction, it also relates with your conflicts as well. If there are some conflict, there will be problem. You cannot define, you cannot achieve what you want to do. And finally, it is basically about government grants, basically. Yes. How much government grants, how much subsidies you can achieve from different governments, basically. Because sometimes one government supports one project, one decision, while other government is in opposite direction in a different point of view for same project, for same products as well. So government grants also plays something very important role for your business, basically. Now let's discuss about economic point of view. In economic, first of all, we have interest rates. We have inflation rates, basically. So how you are going to define, how you are going to set out your interest rates and your inflation rates in a particular country here as well. If you can control inflation, something that is very, very good, because the prices of commodities, products, services will be in a good manner. If your inflation is increasing exponentially, if your inflation is increasing by a huge amount, this is something that is not useful for you. So you have to make sure that your inflation is under control. Business cycles, yes. What are your business cycle? For business cycle, we will discuss our product life cycle, basically. So as we know that in product life cycle, we have introduction stage, we have growth stage, we have maturity stage, and finally we have decline stage here as well. So in which phase your product, your services are, basically. So that is basically about business cycle. Unemployment, yes. What is the rate of unemployment? What is the percentage of unemployment, basically, and how you are going to tackle these challenges of unemployment? What are your policies? What you are going forward? What steps you have taken? How much job opportunities you can provide to unemployed people, basically? Definitely, if there will be less unemployed people, so more happily people will be there, good people will be there. They will, when they will earn, definitely they will spend on their lifestyle, on their standard, on eatables and many other point of view. When they will spend, definitely there will be tax on some commodities here as well. So government will collect tax. Again, when government will collect tax, so it will be used for welfare of people. So that is something very, very important. If someone is unemployed, so definitely that person is a burden for particular state. So you have to make sure that you are employed, you are earning something through some useful and particular means. And those means are allowed. Those means are legal means of earning money. Disposable income, again. Disposable income means what is your income, how much income you are earning, how much income you can earn, you can invest, you can save, you can spend. All of these points are related with your disposable income, basically. Then we have social point of view. Social mean what are your population demographics? How much population you have, how much population is living in cities, how much population is living in urban area, how much population comprise with your young people, how much population is of old people, basically. Particularly if you will be talking about Asian countries, particularly Pakistan and India, then fortunately, luckily, they have a very huge number of people who are young people. But if you will consider other areas, other countries, then some of those countries have a huge number of old persons, basically. So what you have to do, you have to make sure that you utilize your youth, their young person in a very good way, in a very good manner, just to make sure that they play a very important role for progress of your particular country. Then it is basically about the lifestyle. Again, lifestyle will depend on your income. If your income level is good, if you're earning good, definitely your lifestyle will be good as well. Income distribution, yes, how your income is being distributed. because sometimes it is possible that majority of your income is being held by some few rich people, by some rich people here as well. If some rich people, few rich people are holding the majority of income, so that could be unequal distribution. If there is an unequal distribution, so there could be a lot of issues in your society. So you have to make sure that your income is distributed in a proper way, in a justified manner here as well. Obviously, it will also depend how much hard work, how much efforts you put it out. So you have to make sure income is distributed according to your hard work and your efforts, basically. Layer and work attitudes, again, layer relates with your facilities, how much time you work, how much time you use for your other activities. And what is your work attitude? What type of attitude you have? Education level, yes. What is education level? Graduation, master's, MPhil, PhD, post-graduation, professional education, academic background, your experience. So a lot of points depend on your education side. So along with education, you must have some good skill just to make sure that you are not a burden for your family, for your country, and you are earning a good amount for you and for your family as well. Next point is basically about technological. Technological mean in technology side, what you are doing. Government spending on R&D, research and development. Definitely, if you are performing more and more research, that is something good for you. So more new product, latest technology can be used through the innovation basically. So for innovation, R&D is a must factor. So you must spend on your research and development. And research and development can be in multiple disciplines, in your education, in your pharmaceutical sector, in your information technology sector, and many other sectors of your country, basically. Speed of technological change. At which speed, at which pace there are technological changes. For example, if you think about Samsung, if you think about Apple, if you think about Nokia, and we will consider one particular point that is basically about smartphone. So what do you think, how frequently Samsung changes their smartphone? Yes, very frequently, like after 1 year, 6 months or two years. Again, in the same way, after 1 or 2 years, you can see a new model of your iPhone, of your Apple. But for Nokia, answer is no. What happened with Nokia? There is a case study why Nokia failed. That is not a part of syllabus, but that is for your learning purpose. Why Nokia failed. If I just describe in one line the last speech of CEO, that is, we didn't do nothing. We didn't do nothing wrong. We didn't do nothing wrong. But we didn't innovate. So that was the line, last line of Nokia CEO. So what was the meaning? It means that we didn't went for innovation. We didn't innovated our cell phone like our Samsung, our Apple, our BlackBerry. That was the problem. So if your speed of technological change is bit low, definitely it is going to be very, very costly for you. So it could be very, very costly for you, for your entire organization might be fail in this way. Technological awareness. Yes, how many people are aware with your latest technology? How many people can use latest software, new models, new areas? Automation, yes. Automation means automatic. Like you can talk about machine. In automation, we have a perfect example of AI, that is artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is basically a new concept. And that is being used in some countries. Some countries, particularly like Japan, they have introduced some of the robots in their different hotels basically, and they can serve different customers at their reception. Apart from this example, different countries have developed different apps, different robots that can provide you different services basically. Like artificial intelligence can be used for weather prediction, for your automation services, for your online banking, and many other areas here as well. So after technological, now let's move our discussion to environmental or ecological. Environmental or ecological mean what are your policies, environmental policies. So you will consider, you will talk about CSR, corporate social responsibility. If you talk about the some good organization of the world, what they do, they spend some significant amount, a good amount of spending on what? Spending on your environment. Because they think they operate in a particular environment and it is their responsibility to operate in a good manner, to operate in an efficient and effective manner here as well. That is called as CSR, corporate social responsibility basically. How good you are with your environment. What are weather patterns, what are climate changes, what is your attitude, and how you respond to different weather patterns with your climate changes, and how you can use those opportunities just to make sure that these opportunities are beneficial for you and for your organization and for your entire country as well. Lastly, in legal, we have different point. For example, first of all, the most important thing is you have to consider the what are the possible changes and what will be the impact. For example, possible changes in your employment laws, in taxation laws, consumer protection laws, monopoly, copyrights, health and safety, and many other laws here as well. So what are the possible changes and what will be their impact on you, on your organization, and on your country here as well, basically. So these are your points for your legal consideration in this point of view. After done with pestle model, we have a last topic for today, and that is basically our SWOT model. What is SWOT model? SWOT stands for strength, weaknesses, opportunity, and threats basically. Strength and weaknesses are internal to the company because it relates with a particular organization, internal mechanism, internal environment. But opportunities and threats, these relates with your external to the company, because opportunities will be in your external environment, threats will be in your external environment here as well. So you have to be careful that you analyze your strength and weaknesses. Apart from strength and weaknesses, you also analyze your opportunities and threats basically. There could be hundreds of strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. But again, as I mentioned, I have just listed down some of the points just to make sure that we are well familiar with our concept. Strength, it could be well-diversified client portfolio, strong management team, stocks in listing, profitable, low gearing, award winners, differentiated, established 60 years ago. So all of these are points, all of these are your strength area. For example, if you were established 60 years ago, so it means there is a long history. It shows your good reputation. It's a good reputation, also it's a good brand here as well. People can trust on your brand. It means people are loyal with you. People are faithful with you. They will buy, they will deal, they will go for your product and your services. Weaknesses, high work in progress, huge amount of focus, high level of receivables, poor time allocation to client, limited access to debt finance, reached overdraft limit, inability to serve large clients, large customers. 40% turnover from 2 clients. I will discuss the last point because I expect you people that you will read out these slides and then we will discuss in our coming session. 40% turnover from 2 clients mean again your significant revenue is from 2 clients, 2 customers only. So if your significant revenue is from 2 clients or 2 customers, then it is a huge threat for you. It could be a significant threat for you. Why? So for example, if apart from 2 clients, if there is a problem, if there are some issues with 1 client, so what you will do? Definitely you might lose your significant revenue. This could be huge trouble for you. So you have to make sure that you are not much dependent on a single customer. You have multiple customers. You must have diversified customer base just to make sure that you reduce this threat, that you avoid this weakness. It could be your weakness or it could be some sort of threat. Opportunities, yes. What could be opportunity? Tendering for a major opportunity, major contract. Obviously, if you will tender, and it is a possibility if you will win out this tender. If you will win, then definitely there will be a business for you. So if there will be a business, so it could be a customer relationship. So you can also win your future tenders. You can also earn a good amount of revenue in near future here as well. Expand overseas, yes. If your organization, if your country, if your company is operating locally, then you have an opportunity to expand your business in another country here as well. Launching an internet marketing advisory service, buying a rival, moving into another industry. All of these points are your for opportunity. You may also consider your diversification. It could be your opportunity here as well, basically. And lastly, we have threats. What are the threats? Sometimes some people will be confused. What's the difference between weakness and threat? Weakness and threat, basically. Weaknesses are something internal to your company. Threats are something, these are external to your organization. For example, if there are limited access for your debt, limited access for your finances, this is your internal problem because you might not have a good profitability, you might not have a good liquidity position. That's why you are facing problem with managing your finance. But if there is a recession, if there is a downward pressure in an economy, then this is something a threat, significant threat for you. For example, we can discuss a very good example again, that is of COVID-19. So what happened in COVID-19? There was a lot of recession. There was a huge recession. Loss of bank support, loss of a major client, obsolete technology, loss of key staff takeover by a rival here as well. So all of these points are related with your external environment. If they relate with your external environment, so these are threats for your business. So you people will see this point. If there will be any problem, any trouble, then we will discuss in our coming session. This was our first session for strategic analysis. I hope that you liked our session. Thank you very much for joining. And if you like, then you can also join us for our complete session of strategic business management, corporate reporting, and for case study. So these are our contact details. If there is any questions, please let me know. I will be happy to assist. Otherwise, I will close for today. Thank you.